As the White House prepares to end the public health emergency brought on by the coronavirus, our next guest says a new health challenge is taking center stage: debilitating levels of loneliness in America. Joining us now to explain, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy. Dr. Murthy, great to see you.
Great to have you.
So this is really so important.
Yeah.
You've got this report out, something that I'm not sure a lot of people appreciate how profound the problem is and the impacts of it. Physical, it can be like obesity, it can be like a lack of exercise, it can be like smoking in what it does to your body. So lay out, if you would, just how deep this problem is in America.
Well, Willie, I'm so glad we're here talking about this, because loneliness is a problem that has existed behind the shadows for too long. And I came to realize this when I first began my tenure as Surgeon General, and I traveled the country and would talk to people who would tell me that they were lonely, but they wouldn't use that word. They would say things like, you know, I feel I have to carry all these burdens in my life by myself, or I feel if I disappear tomorrow, nobody would care, or I feel invisible.
Don't feel anything.
Right, and it turns out that millions of people struggle with loneliness. So when you dig into the data, what you find is that about 1 in 2 adults in America was reporting levels of loneliness, and these numbers are even greater among kids. But what you also find is that loneliness has serious effects on our mental health and our physical health, raising our risk for depression, anxiety, and suicide, but also increasing our risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, and premature death.
So what is at the root of this, doctor? I mean, we talked a lot about the phone. We talked about the way technology has changed our lives, made us a little more insular, even though we're connected in digital ways. As you study the problem, what's behind it?
Well, that's the right question. And it turns out that this is a problem that has been building for decades. We have over 40, 50 years seen declining participation in the community organizations that used to bring people together, including service organizations, faith organizations, and others. But we're also seeing that our life has changed dramatically. We move around more, we change jobs more often, and technology has utterly transformed how we interact with one another. Now, look, tech can be good or bad. It can help us or hurt us. It's how it's designed and how we use it. But what I worry about is that it has too often replaced our in-person connections with lower quality online connections. And it's also prioritized quantity of connections over quality of connections. And as our life has changed dramatically in these ways, we have to very intentionally prioritize relationships, rebuild the social infrastructure in our lives and our communities. If we don't, we will see a worsening crisis of loneliness. And that's why I'm issuing this advisory today on loneliness and isolation, because I want us to begin a conversation as a country about what I see as a profound public health threat, but a threat that we can address. And I also lay out a framework for national strategy for what we can do about it.
So let's jump to Pillar 4, reform the digital environment, because that's what you were just talking about. I'd like to hear the other solutions as well. But technology has transformed the way we live and work now, where these connections are happening on Zoom, online. I guess in many ways there's positive aspects to this, because you can get to people that you couldn't otherwise get to. Help can get to people that, you know, even health care. But at the same time, our children are growing up in an environment of oversharing, overexposure, and I just don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube without some real legislation that holds some of these tech companies accountable. What do you think?
So I think that you're right, that we need a combination of changes in practice and changes in policy to ensure that technology helps us and doesn't hurt us. Now, a lot of the benefits that you mentioned, Mika, are true, and I've experienced them as well. When I was growing up, it took, you know, a month for me to write a letter to relatives in India and then to get a letter back. And now I can just video conference with them at the, you know, stroke of a button. So it's easy. But what we have not done is design technology in ways that actually protects the quality of our relationships and protects our kids in particular from harm. So right now, when I travel the country, I talk to many children who say that the experience of social media for them makes them feel worse about themselves and worse about their relationships with their friends, as they constantly are comparing their lives to other kids' lives. Now, we've been comparing ourselves to people for millennia, but not nearly at the pace and the speed and at the volume that's happening right now on social media. So yeah, tech has to be designed intentionally to promote and support our relationships. I worry that that's not how it's been designed right now. It's been designed to maximize the amount of time we spend on it, as opposed to the quality of time that we spend on it, and it's hurting us.
So what do we do about one of the, I would submit, problems in the roots of loneliness? The pace of change. So it wasn't that long ago, and 10, 15 years is the snap of a finger in terms of history, where a lot of people on a specific street anywhere USA worked in manufacturing jobs, in factories, textile, lumber, whatever. Those jobs, poof, gone, replaced by technology, by newer and improved ways to do what they did 15 or 20 years ago. So they feel lonely because they've been uprooted economically. They've lost their job. Some of them lose their homes. Some of them lose their children in a couple of wars that are still going on. But there's another class of Americans whose jobs weren't touched, whose lives have been improved by the technology, whose kids go to college, good colleges, and never go to the service, never risk their lives for their country. The roots of these things are so deep that they cause loneliness, I would submit. What do we do about that?
So that is a good question. And you're right that the pace of change has been profound. And change will happen, in the future. We can't stop change from happening. But what we can do is make sure that people have what I think of as the most important safety net to buffer them during times of stress. And that is relationships with one another and community. When we have people around us, we can actually deal with a fair amount of adversity in our lives. But when we don't, when we're struggling by ourselves, and even what seem like manageable levels of adversity become overwhelming, right? So the places that used to bring people together, whether it was churches and synagogues and temples and mosques, or whether it was, volunteer organizations in your community, or whether it was parent associations in your kids' schools, participation in a lot of those organizations has gone down. So when we think about rebuilding social connection in America, to me, this is not just a health issue. This is vital to all of society, because in addition to the health impacts I talked about earlier, we know when people struggle with loneliness, it impacts their productivity in the workplace. It impacts how children perform in school. It reduces civic engagement, and it contributes to division and polarization, because when you don't know one another, it's easier to distrust and to hate one another. But it's harder to hate people up close. So that's why this is such a critical issue. And what I call for is rebuilding social infrastructure in our communities, the organizations that bring us together, the programs in schools and workplaces that cultivate connection, also reevaluating and reassessing our relationship with technology. And that's about personal practices, creating sacred spaces in our life without tech, but also about putting policies in place that ensure tech is safer for us and our kids. And finally, their personal practices. Look, in all of our lives, we can do simple things, like taking 15 minutes a day to reach out to and connect to someone we care about, to make sure that we are giving people our full attention when we're talking to them in conversation and aren't distracted by our phones. And we can look for opportunities to serve others as well, because it turns out helping others, service, is one of the most powerful antidotes to loneliness.
At the end of the day, as you say, the solutions are on us. It's on people, it's on individuals, on families, on groups of friends to do something. And these relationships do take work, as we're reminded. I feel like I'm in touch with my buddies from college because we're on a text chain, and then I go, oh, I haven't seen them in 3 years. You got to go work at it. But from your point of view, is there something, are there policies? I mean, you touched on a couple of them. Is there something that can come from you all in the federal government to at least create space for these things that we all need to work on to happen?
Well, absolutely. And one of the reasons I'm issuing this advisory is I want us to have a national conversation about this so we can bring it out from the shadows. Because, Willie, I'll tell you this, people feel ashamed about their struggles with loneliness. And you know how I know that? Because I did about my own struggles with loneliness. I didn't tell people about it for years because I felt that to say you're lonely is almost like saying you're not likable or you're not lovable in some way, and who wants to feel that way? But I want people to know this is a common feeling. I want people to be able to have conversations with their loved ones in their communities about this. That's how we put it on the radar and make it a priority. But from government, yes, there are things that we can do as well. We can certainly invest in policies that help build the infrastructure in communities that makes communities more walkable, that allow people to actually come together. We can support community organizations that bring people together. We can invest in research that we need to understand which populations are most affected and what solutions really work well. But people also have a profound role here to play as well. And as big as the problem seems, I'll tell you this. We are hardwired to connect with one another. So even a few seconds or a few moments of genuine connection where somebody is listening to you deeply, where somebody asks you how you're doing and actually pauses to listen, where you hear the voice of a friend when you pick up the phone to say hello, even if there are 10 seconds to say, hey, I can't talk now, can I call you back? Those moments of connection matter. and they can leave us feeling good for a long time. And it's our body telling us that we need more connection in our life. And that's how I want people to think about this. Loneliness is not a source of shame. It's like hunger or thirst, a signal that our body sends us when we need something for our survival, and that's social connection.
Well, U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, thank you, and thank you for sharing your personal side to this story as well. We really appreciate it, and of course, a lot of the solutions in this will be talked about for years to come, hopefully addressed. And one of the